Hey everyone, welcome back to English at Work. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Alex. Today we're tackling a situation that sounds great in theory, but can be really complicated in practice.
Oh yeah, we're talking about what happens when your best friend at work gets promoted to be your boss.
On the surface, it seems like it should be awesome, right? Your friend gets a promotion, that's great. And now you have a boss who already knows you and likes you.
But in reality, it often creates this awkward dynamic where the friendship and the professional hierarchy clash in uncomfortable ways.
So today's story is about Jake and Olivia. They've been coworkers and close friends for 3 years. They grab lunch together almost every day, they vent to each other about work, they hang out on weekends.
They're both account managers at a consulting firm, same level, same responsibilities, and they have a genuine friendship.
And then Jake gets promoted to team lead, which means Olivia now reports to him.
And everything is about to get complicated. Let's jump into the story. So their director calls a team meeting. I have some exciting news. We're promoting Jake to team lead. He'll be managing the account management team starting next week.
Everyone congratulates Jake. He's well-liked, he's competent, it makes sense.
Olivia is genuinely happy for him. After the meeting, she hugs him. Congratulations, this is amazing. You totally deserve it.
Thanks, Liv. This is going to be great. At least now you'll have a boss who actually gets it, you know?
They both laugh. They're both thinking the same thing. This will be easy. They're friends. They trust each other.
But their director pulls them both aside after the meeting. Jake, Olivia, I want to talk to you both about the transition.
Your friendship is valuable, but the dynamic is going to change. Jake, you'll need to give Olivia feedback and evaluate her performance. Olivia, you'll need to accept Jake's authority even when you disagree.
They both nod. They get it. It won't be a problem.
Spoiler alert, it becomes a problem.
The first week goes fine. Jake is settling into his new role. Olivia is supportive. Everything seems normal.
Then Jake has to assign a big client project. It's a prestigious account and everyone on the team wants it.
Olivia assumes Jake will give it to her. They've talked about this client before. She knows she's qualified, and they're friends.
But in the team meeting, Jake announces, I'm assigning the Morrison account to Derek. He has the most experience with that industry.
Olivia is shocked. Derek? Derek is fine, but Olivia has been at the company longer. She's worked with similar clients.
After the meeting, Olivia pulls Jake aside. Can I talk to you for a second?
Sure, what's up?
I'm kind of surprised you gave Morrison to Derek. I thought I'd be a good fit for that.
Jake looks uncomfortable. I had to make the decision based on what's best for the client. Derek has worked in that industry before.
But we've talked about this account. You know I'm interested.
Liv, I can't just give you projects because we're friends. I have to be fair to the whole team.
And there it is, the first tension. Olivia feels like she's being punished for being Jake's friend, like he's overcompensating to avoid the appearance of favoritism.
Jake feels like Olivia is expecting special treatment because of their friendship.
They're both right and they're both wrong.
Okay, let's pause here because this dynamic is really tricky and it requires awareness from both people.
Right, so first, let's talk about Jake's position. He's just been promoted. Everyone is watching to see if he'll favor his friend.
He's under pressure to prove he can be objective, fair, and professional. So sometimes he might actually overcorrect, being harder on his friend than he needs to be.
Now, Olivia's position. She didn't ask for this dynamic change. She's the same employee she was before, but now her friend has authority over her career.
She might unconsciously expect that their friendship means she'll get certain considerations, or she might feel like she has to be extra careful not to seem like she's taking advantage.
Both of them are navigating a situation where the personal relationship and the professional hierarchy are in constant tension.
So what makes this work? What makes this fail?
Clear boundaries, honest communication, separating friendship from work when necessary, and both people being willing to accept that the relationship has changed.
Let's see how Jake and Olivia handle it.
Over the next few weeks, things get more uncomfortable.
Jake and Olivia used to have lunch together every day. They'd complain about management, gossip about coworkers, vent about difficult clients.
But now, Jake is management. When Olivia starts to complain about a new policy, Jake cuts her off.
Actually, I was part of that decision. We did it because...
Olivia feels like she's lost her ally. She can't vent to Jake anymore because he's on the other side now.
And Jake feels like he can't be fully honest with Olivia anymore because anything he says might affect their working relationship.
One day, they're having lunch and there's this awkward silence. They used to talk non-stop. Now they're struggling to find safe topics.
Olivia finally says, "This is weird, right? This feels weird."
Jake sighs with relief. Yeah, it does. I don't know how to do this. Be your boss and your friend.
Do you think we can still be friends? Like, actual friends?
I don't know. I want to be, but it's different now.
They both sit with that truth. The friendship they had is changing, whether they want it to or not.
2 months into Jake's new role, he has to do performance reviews for the team, including Olivia.
He's been dreading this. He has feedback for Olivia, constructive criticism that she needs to hear.
But how do you tell your best friend that their work isn't meeting expectations in certain areas?
Jake schedules the one-on-one. Olivia expects a casual conversation. They're friends, after all.
But Jake is formal. He has notes. He's treating this like a real performance review.
Olivia, overall you're doing good work, but there were a few areas I want to discuss for improvement.
Your client communication has been great, but your documentation has been inconsistent. You've missed several report deadlines in the past quarter.
Olivia's face flushes. Seriously? You're going to criticize me for that? Everyone misses deadlines sometimes.
I know, but it's a pattern I've noticed. I need you to be more reliable with the administrative side of the work.
Olivia feels attacked. Is this because you need to prove you're not playing favorites? Because this feels like you're being extra hard on me.
Jake stays calm, but he's frustrated. This isn't personal, Liv. This is legitimate feedback that I'd give to anyone on the team with the same performance pattern.
But would you give it to Derek? Would you even notice if Derek missed a few report deadlines?
Jake realizes this conversation is going off the rails. Olivia, I need you to hear this as your manager, not as your friend. This is professional feedback that you need to take seriously.
The meeting ends tensely. Olivia leaves feeling hurt. Jake feels like he failed at both managing and friendship.
That night, Jake calls Olivia, not as her manager, but as her friend.
Hey, can we talk about what happened today?
Olivia is still upset, but she answers, yeah, I guess we should.
I hate this. I hate that our friendship is making everything harder. But I also can't ignore legitimate performance issues because we're friends.
I know, it felt like you were being harder on me than you'd be on anyone else.
Maybe I am. I don't know. I'm terrified of being accused of favoritism, so I might be overcompensating. But the feedback is real, Liv. You have been missing deadlines.
Olivia takes a breath. You're right, I have. I guess I didn't think you'd actually call me on it.
I have to. That's my job now.
They talk for over an hour. They realize they need to set some boundaries if this is going to work.
They agree. Work conversations happen at work during work hours. When they're hanging out as friends, they don't talk about work stuff.
If Jake needs to give Olivia feedback, he does it in a formal one-on-one, not casually over lunch.
And Olivia commits to not expecting special treatment, even unconsciously.
It's not perfect, but it's a framework. Over the next 6 months, they figure out a new dynamic.
Their friendship changes. They don't have lunch together every day anymore. When they hang out, they talk about life, not work.
Olivia actually steps up her performance. The critical feedback stung, but it was fair. She becomes more organized, meets her deadlines, improves her documentation.
Jake becomes more confident as a manager. He stops overcompensating with Olivia and treats her the same as other team members, which means sometimes giving her great opportunities, sometimes holding her accountable.
One day, Jake assigns Olivia a major client pitch. It's the kind of high-visibility project she wanted months ago.
Olivia, I'm giving you the lead on the Anderson pitch. You've been doing great work lately, and I think you're ready for this.
Olivia is surprised and grateful. Thank you, I won't let you down.
I know you won't. You earned this.
And Olivia knows he means it. This isn't friendship favoritism. This is recognition of her actual work.
Their friendship survives, but it's different, less intense, more boundaried, but also more honest and sustainable.
Okay, so what can we learn from Jake and Olivia's experience?
First, acknowledge that the relationship will change. Don't pretend everything can stay the same when the power dynamic is shifted.
Second, set clear boundaries between work and friendship. Decide what topics are off limits in which contexts.
Third, the new manager needs to be fair, not avoid favoritism to the point of discrimination. Treating your friend worse than others is just as problematic as treating them better.
Fourth, the employee needs to not expect special treatment. Just because you're friends doesn't mean you get better assignments or more leniency.
Fifth, communicate openly about the awkwardness. Don't pretend it's not weird. Talk about it and figure out how to navigate it together.
Sixth, separate feedback conversations from social ones. Performance reviews should be formal and professional, not casual friend chats.
And seventh, accept that you might lose some of the closeness of the friendship. That's okay. The friendship can evolve into something different, but still valuable.
Some friendships don't survive the power dynamic shift, and that's a valid outcome too. It doesn't mean anyone failed.
For the new manager, I want to be clear about boundaries. When we're at work, I need to prioritize my role as your manager. I hope we can still maintain our friendship outside of work.
When giving critical feedback, I need you to hear this as professional feedback from your manager, not as criticism from a friend. This is about your performance, not our relationship.
For the employee, I want to make sure I'm not unconsciously expecting special treatment because we're friends. Can you tell me honestly if you see that happening?
When the friendship feels strained, this dynamic shift is harder than I expected. Can we talk about how to make this work for both of us?
Setting boundaries. I think we should keep work conversations at work and friend conversations outside of work. What do you think?
When you disagree with a decision, I disagree with this decision, but I understand it's yours to make as my manager. I'll support it.
Acknowledging the awkwardness. This feels weird for me too. I think we need to give ourselves time to figure out the new dynamic.
Here's the truth about friends becoming bosses. It's always going to be complicated.
Right. There's no perfect way to do it. The personal history, the trust, the shared experiences, all of that makes the professional relationship harder to navigate.
But it can work if both people are committed to clear communication, appropriate boundaries, and accepting that change is inevitable. The friendship you had might not survive in the same form, but it can evolve into something different, a professional relationship with mutual respect and care.
And sometimes the friendship becomes stronger because you've navigated a difficult transition together.
Or sometimes you realize the power dynamic is too difficult, and one person needs to move to a different team or company, and that's okay too.
There's no one right answer, just honest communication and mutual respect.
All right, that's it for today. Next week, we're tackling handling a passive-aggressive manager, because some bosses never say what they really mean, and that creates its own special kind of workplace hell.
If you're navigating friendship and hierarchy at work, we hope this episode helped.
Thanks for listening to English at Work.
Navigate those boundaries out there.